Well, this week marks the first anniversary of the release of a shocking video that showed the ISIS beheading of journalist Steven Sotloff. The 31-year-old freelance reporter had been held hostage for a year after his kidnapping from a fake government checkpoint. Sotloff's parents have since created a memorial fund in his honor, offering scholarships to journalism students. Gene Policinski is Chief Operating Officer at the Newseum Institute. And Gene, you had some special visitors recently.
You know, we had a chance to go through our journalist memorial with two of the names that we added last year, the family of those people, Diane Foley, the mother of James Foley, and relatives of Steven Sotloff, both of whom died about a year ago at the hands of terrorists.
And those shocking videos that were released, since then, have conditions gotten better or worse for journalists?
You know, it's kind of both ways. Journalists, I think, are better prepared to deal with those dangers, but the terrorists and others are even more cognizant of the fact that journalists are a danger to their ability to spin that story on the web themselves. So better prepared, but also in more danger.
And it is the nature of journalists to get in the middle of a very dangerous situation. Is there anything more that can be done to protect them?
You know, I think the profession is finally dealing with the fact that there was a moment when we were losing a lot of those long-term, long-experienced kinds of correspondents being replaced by younger, less experienced or inexperienced freelancers. Now we're talking about insurance, training, the way you keep track of people. There's even an app that we can use now on a phone for journalists to say, here's where I am, and with a panic buttons, you can alert people to danger right away. A lot of this is tracking, preparation, and learning where not to be. Don't stay in one place for 5 or 6 days, move around, things like that.
The Newseum here in D.C. will draw a crowd, I'm sure, where the Pope is here. It's a fascinating history of journalism in the United States and the world, but you also have a very serious side here, a memorial to those who have died. How do you choose what to put in there? You know, we look with the lists of groups who really track these, have the boots on the ground to investigate deaths. Tragically, in the last few years, it's been anywhere between 70 and 100, depending on how you define journalists. What we look for is a representative group, people who died from helicopter crashes in conflict zones, from assassinations, sadly, at the hands of terrorists, and say, here's a representative group. We really can't say these are all the journalists. So we pick a representative group and say, let this be an annual reminder of how dangerous journalism can be. A pair of young journalists in Roanoke, Virginia, lost their lives at a live newscast. Have you been able to honor them in any way? You know, we placed an informational plaque, we call it a stand tall, in the Journalist Memorial Gallery. Their names go into that mix, sadly, for 2015. They were targeted, while it's a workplace issue, they were targeted because they were journalists doing a live broadcast. So I think their names are certainly in that tragic group that we'll look at and make a decision, and next June we'll add names to the memorial. And their families are in our prayers. Gene Policinski with the Newseum Institute, thanks so much for being with us, Gene. Thank you.